Hi, Mant.
Hey, Val.
Welcome to WEAll Meet. So you are about to accompany me on a journey to explore the vastness of this WEAll membership. And as the engagement and content lead at WEAll, one of my main priorities is just to understand who our network is, how they can contribute to building, designing, and creating an alternative economic system. And so each month, I'll be interviewing a different member in our network and sharing this short 10-minute video with our audience. So today, world, I'm interviewing Amanda Janoo, who is our knowledge and policy lead at WEAll. She lives in Burlington, Vermont, has previously worked pretty much all over the world, mostly doing international policy. She just published a policy design guidebook. You should check it out, and has worked with WEAll, I think now for just over a year. So amazing. Welcome. And my first question that I'm going to ask you today is, as I said, you've lived and worked all over the world. And I always start with this question about trying to uncover what people's aha moment was. So in your life, kind of what brought you to WEAll. You're obviously very passionate about global economic systems change. What was your aha moment?
Oh my. Well, there's so many, I guess. But I think what really first drew me to an interest in economics and an interest in the economy was I always had a very strong sense of like passion for social justice and international issues, peace, sustainability. But in looking at the world and all of these various challenges or injustices we were facing, it sort of felt like a Venn diagram, right? Of all these things that are interconnected, but somewhere at the center, I feel like sits the economy. And when I was in college, I was really into feminist theory. And I started to learn about economic theory and some of the assumptions they had about who we are and us all being competitive, rational, individualistic individuals. I was like, what? Like, how is that even an assumption? And that the economy is separate from politics and from culture and history. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And thus started my love-hate relationship with economics that has led me down my career path into WEAll today.
Yes. I when you learned like when you learned that those were like the foundations, like those principles of the rational man being greedy and all these things, were you immediately challenging that, or was it like based on like your experience in the world where you're meeting people and you're like, actually that's not hasn't been my experience meeting people, or what about that didn't feel like it was true?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different levels to what didn't resonate about that. I mean, one particularly as a woman, right? Like we are socialized and very much conditioned, I think, in a lot of ways to not view ourselves as individualistic, competitive, selfish, whatever, right? Like our identities are a lot more around interdependencies and cooperation and empathy, emotion, right? And so that was not reflected at all. But equally, I think I just believe in the goodness of people, right? And so to base an entire really important discipline on an assumption of the worst parts of ourselves and to actively think that encouraging and rewarding those worst parts was somehow going to lead to a good outcome, like seems insane. Yeah. And I maintain that it's insane. So
Yes, cool. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're so crazy. So the other question is, we've spoken about this sort of philosophy that you hold, which is that you believe that everything happens for a reason, but you also believe that we're masters of our own destiny, and these things sort of stand in conflict or contrast with the other. But it also seems like it serves the basis of a bit of hope. So I'm wondering if you can explain that a little bit and how you find hope in holding these two opposing, or yeah, I don't know if they're totally opposing, but yeah, these two beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should say it's very much like a personal philosophy, and I feel like it's seemingly inconsistent. You know, like to believe that things happen for a reason, I think provides me with faith, and also allows me not to feel that all of the world's burdens are on my shoulders, right? And to have like a trust that there is more than me, right? And there's more to this plan and this whole collective subconsciousness or whatever you call it, and our collective destiny. But then simultaneously, I remember, yeah, I've just always felt like if they could do it, why can't I, right? And if throughout history, individuals have changed the course of history, that we can too, like that's what dictates, like, changes our actions and our decisions individually and as a collective. And so I remember being at a talk by this guy who was like the former head of Goldman Sachs and the key advisor to Obama after the after the financial crisis. And he was standing up there just rattling off a bunch of nonsense. And I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. I was like, if this guy is advising the head of the country on how to manage this economy, and I was like in college or something like this, I was like, I could do that. And that was a really liberating moment, because I think when you're younger, you have this idea that adults and these experts and all these people like know so much. They know so much more than you. Then you realize it's just a bunch of people, like making choices, having opinions about things, obviously with different kinds of experiences and knowledge that informs that. But yeah, I find that really empowering.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Also, I had a similar moment where I was like, oh, I feel like I've figured out how the rest of the world thinks, and like you can think critically, and then you're like, actually, maybe the rest of the world doesn't, or like, maybe they're not actually thinking like how I'm thinking. Anyway, well, that's it. So that's a wrap. And thank you so much. And I appreciate your time. And to our audience, join us next time. And thank you for being here. See ya.